The history of the Xenoblade franchise has been an interesting one to follow, from Nintendo initially having no plans of releasing the first title stateside, to now being one of the pillars of the Nintendo Switch with its third game released on the console, more than both Zelda and Mario core titles. With a promise of wrapping up the story that began in the first Xenoblade Chronicles game and that continued into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 had a tall task to complete, but much like its heroes and story, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 rises above and exceeds any and all expectations. While the gameplay of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 mainly incorporates elements of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, its combat mainly plays similar to the first title. While your arts fill up over time, auto attacks are in there to deal damage to your opponent while the arts are filling. Certain classes allow your arts to fill faster by canceling into attacks. Fusion arts combine two arts into one attack and gives both benefits of the arts that you use, such as staggering an opponent and granting you a buff. And a character at any moment can have up to 6 arts. The game does a great job of detailing the combat system and how the mechanics work, simplifying it from the overcomplications that the blade system presented in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The real crux of the battle system occurs when you start unlocking additional heroes aside from the main party of 6. With each new hero you unlock comes a new class. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 allows every main party member to acquire every class in the game. Mixing and matching classes to find the best combination that suits your needs well is an aspect that can be dangerously addicting and makes the grinding in the game a lot more tolerable. Once you progress through the story enough, your characters get the opportunity to interlink. Essentially, you get to control a giant robot. It can provide relief in a pinch, such as facing tough bosses or large crowds. It mainly serves as a spectacle, but an exhilarating spectacle nonetheless. Chain attacks also make their return, though they play out a bit differently. The chain attack meter grows as you perform actions that are related to your class. For healers, the more you heal, the more the meter fills up, for example. Once it's full, you can execute the chain attack. Within the chain attack, your goal is to provide as much damage as possible in order to get rewarded. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 also provides players with numerous ways that they can accumulate the experience outside of battle. Players are awarded bonus experience for completing side quests, discovering new landmarks, or even defeating unique enemies. You can cash in your bonus experience at campfires to raise your level without ever having the need to grind out for overworld battles in order to level up. The story of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 depicts a world that is in constant conflict. The true nature of the conflict, or how it even arose, remains shrouded, as the fighting has been going on for so many years that is the only thing that both the kingdoms of Agnes and Kevs have ever known. It's during one of these skirmishes that a group from each side are forced by circumstance to assist each other and begin unraveling the mystery of the Endless War. Xenoblade Chronicles 3's story is pretty straightforward compared to its predecessors, and doesn't offer too many surprises or twists. But in a way, the lack of twists is what makes the few that do occur throughout the game much more memorable, as they feel earned and not forced. But what carries the game's story is the strength of its characters, which are the best written in the series. The natural growth of being unlikely allies who don't trust each other and at any given moment would slit each other's throat at the start, to the unyielding friendship and loyalty that they have towards each other at the game's conclusion, is quite the experience to go through. Adding to the characters are the performances. Many of the game's emotional highs are fueled by the excellent voice work and truly elevates the game's story to a whole other level. With the standout performance of Harry McIntyre, the voice actor of Noah, the main character of the game, his voice work was truly spectacular, especially with the events that happened in the latter portion of the game. Not only is the main story of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but so are the side missions in which you get other heroes to join their rank. Though there are a few that stand out more than others, many of them offer you a glimpse into the lives of other characters, and oftentimes deepen the emotional bond that you see between characters. Not only that, but they also explain some of the backstory of the main 6 party members and even ascend their character growth from even further from the main story. They are a welcome addition and oftentimes will detour you away from the main objective. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 encourages the players to explore its vast, beautiful world as stated earlier. Though it does take a few hours for the game's world to actually fully open up for you to explore, once it does, you'll find no shortage of a vast and wonderful landscape to explore. It encourages a little backtracking as well, as you will acquire new techniques that allow you to explore areas of the world that were once unexplorable, such as being able to traverse dangerous terrain, climb up ledges, and so on and so forth. Accompanying you in your exploration is a beautiful score. While the battle tracks of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 are a standout per usual in the series, it's the other musical numbers that play during the game's bigger twist and more shocking moments that really carry the score to new heights. With many of those songs pushing feelings of sorrow, rage, and a sense of helplessness, it leaves you in awe with how great the game's score truly is. Also great is the game's usage of the wind instruments, as the main characters are known in this world as obseers, people who play an instrument, the flute, to guide the spirits of the departed onto the afterlife. Not only is it used in the somber moments, but it's also used in some of the more exciting moments and even in the battle themes. Its excellent use of wind instruments is something to be commended. Although there isn't anything inherently bad with the battle system that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 uses, it feels as though it could have been refined a little bit more. There are only a few enemies in the game that really change up how you strategize, without having the need to just overwhelm them with brute force. Even playing on the game's higher difficulty doesn't add too much of a challenge, as most enemies just deal a little bit more damage and can take a little bit more. The game's graphics and performance can take a noticeable dip. While the art style does hide some of the limitations graphically, there are many areas in the game where the aging Switch technology does begin to rear itself. If there's ever been a case for Nintendo to release a Switch Pro or Switch 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is one of those games that could really benefit from more powerful hardware. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the conclusion to the Xenoblade saga that began all the way back on the Wii 12 years ago. It cements the Xenoblade franchise as a pillar of Nintendo going forward, and it is a fantastic game all around. It is carried by the strength of its characters, story, voice performance, and music. It is not only one of the best games released this year, but it may very well be the best RPG released on the Switch. It streamlines many of the issues that its predecessors may have had, and while there are some performance and graphical hiccups here and there are minor inconveniences to the experience that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 provides. It is an epic RPG with a story that is simply amazing and masterful that can only come from the masterminds at Monolith Soft. To put it into simpler words, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a must-have title for any Nintendo Switch owner.